Have you ever known the heavy feeling in your stomach? The deep, quiet certainty that your current life is not your true reality. You see the life you desire, the love you crave, or the abundance you need, but it remains just beyond the glass. You are tired of the striving, and you sense a powerful truth. Your effort is actually deepening the distance. If this video has found you, it is because you are ready for the simple, radical truth. The core of your struggle is not a failure of technique. You are not failing at manifestation. You are failing at identity. You are failing at the most essential spiritual truth spoken by the masters. I am. The true prison is not the outer world. It is the persistent, limiting state of the seeker. But here's the payoff. The moment you realize the true identity required for creation, the searching ends, and your reality must obey. The true prison is not the lack of money, the absence of a partner, or the difficulty of the outer world. It is the persistent, limiting, and self-reinforcing state of the seeker. Neville Goddard, the master teacher, exposed the radical paradox that stops almost everyone. You cannot manifest the wish fulfilled as the person who desires it. The person who wants and the person who has are two distinct entities, operating on two entirely different frequency channels. To truly be set free is not about gaining a new thing or a new technique. It is about acquiring a fundamentally new self. The seeking must end with the realization of the being. Over the next few minutes, we will unlock the simple, three-step internal process required to execute this shift of identity, the only genuine act of creation taught by Neville. This guarantees the effortless, natural appearance of your desired reality. Step 1. Defining the new self. This is where precision separates the master from the amateur. Most people stop at defining the wish itself. I want a new car, or I want $5,000. The true master, the conscious creator, goes beyond the object and defines the identity that experiences and possesses those things. Neville did not ask us to beg for the state. He asked us to assume the state. But what exactly is the state of the wish fulfilled? It is the sum total of the assumptions made by your new self. The new self isn't wishing. The new self is assuming. Let's apply this. If you are seeking abundant wealth, your new self is not merely someone who wants money. That is the old identity. Your new self is the person who knows, without a shadow of doubt, that they are the source and channel of infinite wealth. The source is within you. The wealth is the reflection. If you are seeking profound, unconditional love, your new self is not the person desperate for validation. Your new self is the I am who is inherently lovable and complete, requiring nothing from the outside world to confirm its worth. Start conducting a deep, sincere psychological interrogation. How does the I am who has money move through their day? How does the I am who is loved think about themselves when alone? What assumptions does that person automatically hold? Your entire existence, your internal language, your posture, your quiet knowing, it must all be redefined through the consistent lens of that completed identity. You are detailing your new spiritual skeleton. Every assumption you currently hold about yourself, that you are not good enough, always struggling, or unlucky, is a relic of your old identity. These assumptions are the bars of your current prison. The process of definition is the slow, deliberate replacement of these old, limiting assumptions with the radical certainty of the new. The details matter. The clothes you would wear, the view from your window, the way your voice sounds in the morning. All these details solidify the new self. This process seems intellectually simple, yet it secretly hides the most common trap, the relapse of the old identity. No matter how beautifully you define the new self, the definition itself is powerless until you successfully execute the second, most dangerous and subtle step. Step 2. The feeling of the new self. Neville taught that feeling is the secret, but the feeling that confirms your successful identity shift is often misunderstood. It is relief, not frantic joy, not forced excitement, but the quiet, profound, total relief that comes from knowing the search is over, the debt is paid, the love is secured. It is peace. Why relief? Because the old identity was defined by struggle, lack, and searching. It was a life lived in constant motion toward a goal. The new identity is defined by possession and certainty. The goal is reached. The moment you truly assume the new identity, the enormous weight of the search simply lifts. That is the feeling you must pursue, the cessation of desire. The profound mistake that collapses most manifestations is the constant holding on to the emotional signature of the old identity. The compulsion to seek evidence, to check the 3D world for proof, to worry about the how. That impulse, that doubt, that anxiety is the psychological residue of the old, lacking self fighting for survival. It is the ego clinging to its pain, its drama, its story of unfulfillment. The failure to manifest is always the failure to sustain the feeling of the new identity. You spend 5 minutes in the relief of the wish fulfilled, and then 10 hours in the anxiety of the searcher. That anxiety is the spiritual gravity of the old self pulling you back down. The universe must respond to the dominant assumption, and if anxiety is your dominant emotional state, then struggle is the only outcome. Every single time you seek external evidence, every time you check your phone with anxiety, you are momentarily stepping back into the identity of the person who lacks it. You are telling the universe, the possessor is a lie, I am still the seeker. You are not just looking for proof, you are abandoning your assumption. The true, revolutionary practice of the I am state is to immediately discard the feeling of lack the exact moment it appears. If you catch yourself checking your bank account with anxiety, stop. Step back into the relief and certainty, the emotional signature of the possessor. This may require an intense, momentary act of conscious redirection, but it is the true work. This consistent, radical commitment to the feeling of relief is the only force that solidifies your identity shift. You are essentially starving the old self of its emotional energy. But there remains one final hurdle. What happens when the current 3D world, your bank statement, a painful conversation, a failed job interview, throws compelling evidence against your new identity? That requires the ultimate, counterintuitive act of surrender. Step 3. The surrender of the new self. This is not passive hope. This is the moment of pure, active faith. Surrender, in the Neville sense, is not resignation or defeat. It is the definitive act of resting entirely within your new, defined identity, regardless of the noise, contradiction, or chaos of the old reality. The 3D world is simply the expired shadow of your former identity. When the outer world contradicts your assumed reality, you are simply witnessing the residue of yesterday's assumptions. You must treat those contradictions not as facts, but as illusions, as cinematic backdrops that are irrelevant to the true reality you are forging within. When you truly, fully occupy the I am state, you immediately stop concerning yourself with the how, the when, or the means. You realize that the universe, which Neville called the creative power of God, is now operating through your new identity as a medium, organizing the vast, intricate network of the 3D world to perfectly reflect your assumed self. You don't need to know the mechanism knows you. Your work is done. Your only remaining function is to maintain the feeling of relief and certainty. The blueprint is finished, perfected, and handed to the builder, the universe. Any anxiety about the timeline or the mechanism is simply you trying to wrestle the blueprint back and fire the builder. The true master of creation sits in the silence of knowing, secure in the identity of the possessor, patiently waiting for the reflection to appear in the glass. They do not chase, they are. They do not worry, they know. They are in complete spiritual repose. They understand that trying to do anything further is an act of the old, seeking identity. The creation is guaranteed by the assumption. The appearance is simply a matter of time. This act of surrender, rooted in the shift of identity, is the absolute freedom that the title promised. This is the simple, radical, liberating truth of creation. But to integrate this completely, we must look at the full, final consequence. The ultimate shift is simple, but it requires courage. You define your I am. You sustain the quiet relief of that I am. And you surrender the how, the entire mechanism, to the limitless, organizing power of your consciousness. Stop trying to manifest things. That is the path of the seeker. Start claiming the identity that owns those things. That is the path of the creator. In that single, final, beautiful shift, your striving ends, your seeking ends, and your effortless creation begins. The world outside your window is, and has always been, the shadow of the identity you hold within. Change the identity, and the shadow must change. There is no other outcome. Your freedom is absolute. The only thing left for you to do right now: close your eyes, take one deep, profound breath, and in the silence of this moment, feel the relief of the Possessor. Know that your new reality has already been created. You are free. If you are ready to claim your new identity and manifest from the state of the Possessor, confirm your intention. Leave the single powerful word, "I am," in the comments below. For more deep dives into the principles of consciousness and creation, subscribe to Sanctum. Your reality starts here.